Welcome back to That's So Nova. My name is Nova. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate your support and coming back. Today, I am going to do a video that's highly requested in my channel called Let's Install Fancy Hardware. or Fandom Hardware. As you know, if you watch my Captain's Log in the morning, I always show really creative and beautiful hardware that are like magnets, that are unusual. And I get, how do I install these? And you guys see them from time to time, like a twist lock on a video, but I don't go into great detail because I'm showing usually it being installed with a bag. So what my plans are is to show you what tools I use, what I found worked for me. And I've opened the comments, so if you find something that works for you, put it in the comments so somebody else can learn, because what I may not know, somebody else may know, and they're able to write it down, and we all learn from the process. This is a community, and this is how we work. One of the tools that I use for any kind of hardware, whether it's putting in a magnet, a Chicago screw, a turn lock, whatever, is some of the basics. I have screwdrivers. These screwdrivers are really cheap. Most of them that I got, they came from Serial Bag Maker, but they also come in different other kits. Get these small screwdrivers, usually in eyeglass kits at the grocery store. These are what I use. I know some people like to use electric ones. I don't. I have a tendency, and it could be just a me problem. I put the screwdriver in, and as it starts spinning, if the screw is stuck, it can strip it really fast. So I usually do it manually. And I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to get things unstuck, because with these magnets, a lot of them come overseas, and what happens, they're on boats. So there's a lot of salt and humidity in the air, which gets into the little crevices, which can make the screws very difficult to get out. But I'm going to show you a very simple technique how to get it out. And once you do it, you're going to laugh, and I guarantee you'll be like, I never thought of that, because it happened by accident when I would always ask my husband to unscrew them because I was stripping the screws. So I have a couple little resolutions, but let me go over some of the basics. I usually have a number 2 pencil or a chalk pencil or something that I could wipe off or erase real easily. Blade to cut slits. I have an owl with also that's a stiletto, that's also a seam ripper on there. I always have a trusty pair of scissors, and I like to have glues around me just in case. So I have like Gutermann's glue, I have Fray, which I generally use more than anything, that's why the bottle's empty, and I have Loctite for threaded locks. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with the very first basic, magnets. Let's pretend like this is this pattern piece before we made it into the flap, right? So let's say the pattern says that, hey, you need to have your magnet 1 inch above the bottom line. Find your center. So you would find your center, and then you would measure your 1 inch. So you're gonna measure 1 inch above the line. So you make your mark. So normally what you would do is, this will be the lining piece and not the exterior piece, okay? So you would put this together, and then you would have this mark on your lining piece. So this is the lining piece on this one. So let's say you put this together so you make your mark on your lining piece of the 1 inch. You sew your pattern piece together. This is the exterior front. This is the lining. So I just drew it in chalk so you can see this is still where that 1 inch magnet is after we put our flap together. I would now take out my magnets. Now, so normally when you take off your magnets, you unscrew it, but do you see how this one's stuck? It is super stuck. So I'm going to slam it. I'm going to slam it a couple times, and it unscrews. You guys now know my trick. Okay. And if another one gets stuck, I'll put this in a magnetic bowl or put it in a circle of some sort, and I'll slam it. If you have magnets, what I like to do is take a piece of hardware and put it in between the hardware, because I'm just losing it, and then I will unscrew it. If it's still stuck, you just have to finagle it. Might have to use a different screwdriver, whatever you have to do. You just don't want to strip the screw. All right. So we have 2 pieces, the front plate, and then we have the back plate. So before we put any magnet back here, we're going to use this as a template. You're going to take this, and you're going to draw in where the circles are. I'm using a pencil. You can use chalk, an erasable pen, whatever you want to do, whatever your heart contends. I will also use an erasable pen because it's black. Maybe it's a little bit more noticeable. It's going to be covered up either way, so if you have to recolor in, you're fine. Okay, We have our three dots. I'm going to grab my hole puncher. I'm going to change my settings. Normally when I punch rivets, I use the 2 smaller settings on my rivet. I mean on my my hole punch. I am actually going to move this up to the 3rd. See, that's the 1st, 2nd, and this is the 3rd. I'm going to open it up bigger. I usually use the 3rd or the 4th smallest. So like this is the smallest, that's the 2nd smallest, this is the 3rd, and that's the 4th smallest. So I'm going to punch my holes. What I feel like a lot of people do is they don't punch the holes big enough. So that's when they feel like the screws can't go through. I've never really had to use longer screws, but I'm going to show you where you can, I'm going to tell you where you can buy longer screws and show you some. But sometimes it's just having the hole a little bit bigger. So now that we have our holes, what we're going to do is we're going to get our magnet part. Inside your bag kit, you will get a washer and you will get your male and female magnet. We're going to take the male portion, take the washer, and have pretty sides up. There's a flat side that has nothing, and then we have the side that you can see where the screws sit nicely, and it's a pretty side. We're going to thread the male washer in there, and then we're going to bend the prongs. You can bend this one out, but sometimes you have to bend them inside so that way they don't see the prongs on the outside. And we're done with that portion. Now if you want to, you could use Loctite or something on this portion so it doesn't move, but you don't need it, to be honest with you. So we're going to take, this is the lining side, remember? We're going to go to the correct exterior side, and we're going to kind of push out these areas where we made holes so we can screw in the back. Take your screws, and see, it's so helpful to put your screws in something like a ring or a rectangle ring. And I'm not going to tighten all the screws all the way. I just want them to be able to sit. I want to make sure that all screws fit in before I tighten. So all 3 screws are going to fit nicely. The screws. Now from here, if you're worried about the screws coming loose, which I have never had any screws come loose, but if you are, something like Loctite, you could do a drop of glue in each one and then it's permanent. It won't go anywhere. But that's how it would look. And then you would take your coordinating piece, take your washer, wherever your pattern tells you to put it on top of the exterior. You would, I like to use a seam ripper. Use a seam ripper and poke this. I sometimes use scissors too. Put this through. And now you have a beautiful magnet for your bag. That's truly one of a kind and gives it a very upscale feature. Now, some people are like, hey, Shnova, my material's too thick. I'm working with leather. There are screws that I will link that are on Amazon. There's no affiliate link that you can get that work perfectly well with any of these. So like you can take, if this was too thick or it was too thin, there's different screw sizes you can use to help. This one's a little bit longer. It's about 1/8 of an inch longer. You could see it screws in just fine, but because it's 1/8 of an inch longer, you can see the head is kind of poking out. But as you can see, there are all these different sizes and lengths that you can use. So if you are working with different material that is too thick, you can get a longer screw. But to be perfectly honest with you, most of the time it's because people do not punch a big enough hole. If you punch a big enough hole where you can actually get that part that I showed you out, where you screw in the rivets where they could poke through, then you're golden. You have nothing to worry about. I have never put a magnet, and I have put so many magnets on bags that I actually had to get thicker ones. But I do have this just in case, because I do see it come up time to time. I will put the link to that in the subscription box. So let's get to the next portion of this. I get a lot of people asking me about strap-ins. So strap-ins are very cool features because you're able to make a bag strap in, like when you have this, this is the end of a strap or a connector, it can make it look upscale. It gives it that lounge fly and villains, that upscale look that you see on a finish of a bag. You can use strap ins for like this. This is a beautiful, like, you can use these at the end of each of your straps, or in this case, I made a swivel hook with a strap in that you can attach for a key fob, so that you could put your keys in here, and it could be something nice and decorative that you can add for a thank you gift, or just something pretty to give to teachers and whatever. Can you imagine that you get strap ins that are like Potter, and it's the, you know, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, Gryffindor, and you're able to match the webbing with the strap ins and get the same color hardware? That will be such a lovely gift to give people in your life that do love Harry Potter, or just to make a little bit of magic. In this case, we have a star that we're going to be working on, but you also can use strap ins for different things. I'm going to pull up this bag that's done, and this bag was too thick to sew a connector on, so instead I used canvas, double-sided waterproof canvas. So one side I folded over a 2-inch piece to make a 1-inch, and then I did it at the other end so there's no raw edges on the edge. And I slid this beautiful heart on here. I have my ring on here so that way I can use it as a crossbody, and it's connected to the interior pocket. The exterior pocket. But do you see how like classy that makes the bag? It gives it something else for your eye to match on. You can also do that for your strap connectors on top of bags. Having your straps like this, you can have a strap connector that pokes down and you bring down and have on your flaps like this, or have it above like this, similar to what we've seen right here. It looks really classy. It gives another edge, and it's not just a one-trick pony. It's not just for your end of your straps. Now you're utilizing it for different features on the bag. It makes the bag look really upscale, and they're very fun to put together and easy to screw in. So for my strap belts, I usually, for my key fobs, I usually use webbing that is left over, because I always have tiny pieces like this left over, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with it? I use webbing and or scraps of waterproof canvas. If I have a scrap that's 6 inches and I can cut it by 2, I'll fold 2 into a 1-inch piece and another 2 into a 1-inch piece and sew it together like you see right over here. This is 2 different pieces. And I will make these key fobs. So I'm going to show you how to make one real quick, and you can have a little bit of fun with these. First thing I like to do is, if you're going to be using webbing, is singe those ends. I like to singe the ends until I'm able to make like it caramelize right there. It's burned so badly that it kind of creates like a scar tissue. That's the best way I can describe it over it, and it will help it prevent it from fraying. Sometimes I think that with this kind of webbing, people don't singe the ends long enough where you can feel the texture difference between the nice smooth webbing and the area that's been cauterized. Okay, so we have that. Now you can do this. I have this really cool gold star, and I'm either going to use a swivel hook, or you can use a D-ring or a rectangle ring and then add like a jump ring on there for your keys, or you can even go as far as adding both of these like this, and then lighting the ends like this. And sometimes when I use my stiletto, I just kind of push this down a little bit further. Okay, so we have this is a 6-inch piece of webbing, and I use seatbelt webbing and not like the cotton one because it's too thick. You won't only be able to put like one piece. Seatbelt webbing is perfect for this project, and I know we all have tons of it. Then we're gonna get the screws, and you're like, oh no, I lost my screws. I have done that so many times, it's not even funny. I'm gonna give you a link to where you can buy little metal screws, and it also includes this tiny screwdriver, and it comes in an array of different colors. So I'm gonna grab 3 gold ones. This little screw bag has saved my life more times than I want to admit. I lose these little things all the time. A magnetic bowl can help tremendously to keep things together. As you can see, I have an array of different stuff in there, but a magnetic bowl helps keep all the screws in one place. I'm going to take my screwdriver And I'm going to place one screw, one tiny screw in the first hole. And then I'm just going to screw it in. This one, you can screw all the way in. And it doesn't matter if you can tighten it all the way because you're securing the fabric. The screw is pointy and sharp, so when you place it in the hole and you screw it in, it pierces through the 2 layers of webbing and goes down to the front of the plate, so it won't move. I go all the way until I can't screw anymore. It's not going anywhere. So from here, what I do is I will put one rivet to hold these 2 together. So I'm going to bring my trusty hole puncher and I'm going to change my settings to the second smallest. And I will link this hole puncher. It's pretty okay. It's not, my favorite one actually costs like $70 in Germany, but I got this one, and this one has not let me down. And what I do with webbing like this is I kind of cinch it really quick to make sure that there's no like little furries or little, like no fuzzies, because this, you don't want the hole to come out. So I'm going to put a rivet. You don't want the hole to fray, so singeing it will prevent the fraying. I'm going to set the rivet with my rivet press. We have now, voila, a very beautiful fob. You have one where you can hook it to your bag, and then you can put a jump ring on here, so that way someone can put their keys. And this is such a lovely gift. So if you made, let's say, a bag that had like, this could be the Hamilton, right? You made a Hamilton thing and you can put this beautiful key fob in there and people really would appreciate it. These are really great for also, if you have an event and you're selling stuff, you can sell these key fobs for maybe $10, $15 and you have like a really beautiful gift to give. If someone has something really beautiful. And as you can see, if you look through this closely enough, you can see the screws pierce all the way through to the other side of the webbing. So it's a nice gift. I hope you enjoyed that project. So let's move on to Chicago screws. I was not a fan of Chicago screws. It was just something that I felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I never got it. So there's a couple of things that I used for Chicago screws that I found out what I was doing wrong. First things first, I wasn't having a large enough hole. The Chicago screws are a nice size. They usually, I don't know, what I do is this. I put the hole up and then I try to pick a hole that is as close to the inside circle as possible, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go from here. That looks very similar. So I'm going to use that as a hole, my hole. I'm going to punch a hole. I'm going to use through 2 layers of cork. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm going to use 4 layers so that way it's more realistic because it'll be on a strap or on a handle. Okay. We're going to put the Chicago screw head through this hole, and as you see, it pokes out. All you would need to do is put the screw, the flat screw, on here, and you would need to use a flat Phillips head screwdriver or a screwdriver of some sort. This one I got from Warmino because it's rainbow and it has glitter. It's the little things in life that makes me happy. And you would screw it on, and then when it stops, when it's getting resistant, you'll notice you can start spinning it. You can keep it in place, hold that together, and tighten it. This isn't going to go anywhere. As you can see, I'm pulling and everything. I thought for sure that these will just pop out. No, and I'm going to show you why. Right now I'm going to unscrew it so you can see. Because the shaft is so much smaller than the screw part, it doesn't poke through. But if you're really worried about it, this is a plan B that I do. So this is the inside of my bag, and this is where I'm going to punch the hole. What I like to do is I will get a clear washer. And there's different sizes. It's going to be on an outside handle that I will put the washer in the inside of the bag. Thread it through. And that is another security. I also do this on the outside. So if this is my finished strap and it's sewn down 1/8 of an inch on both sides, what I'll do is I'll punch my hole. I'll take a washer. I'm trying to get the smallest washer that I can fit over the head. That's not seeable, but even if it's seeable, I don't care because it just means that I have a ton extra precautions to make your bag safe. And then I'm going to put the screwdriver on it. The screw back on it. I am a huge fan of the Chicago screws. I really wasn't, but I recently have them because they give like an extra pop, like nobody's business. But if you're worried about it pulling through, you can put these clear screws, clear washers, which cost pennies at the hardware store. But I'll give you a link for Amazon as well. Again, none of these are affiliate. But you can do, and I promise you, nobody's going to be able to. Nobody's going to be able to pull the Chicago screw. I'm trying to call my mic because it's the washer as well as the screw. So just make sure you're installing your hardware right, and these can be installed everywhere. So like, here's the front of this flap. You can install some right here and here. You can put them in, instead of putting a rivet, you can put a Chicago screw right here. It will look really cute, just pretty much anywhere and everywhere. So that is one thing. And let's do another thing. These are the zipper ends, and Olivia has really fancy ones that I love, but we have so many bag projects that'll be like, oh, taper off and we're going to put a zipper in. So people are like, how do I install this? Because we're used to picking fabric ones. I'm going to show you how I install mine. I like to get some double-sided tape. My zipper pulls in and it's facing towards me. On the back side of the zipper tail, I'm going to put the double-sided tape. I'm going to kind of cinch my ends, pull up the zipper tape, pull the paper off, and I'm going to take one zipper tab and fold it halfway onto itself, right where the zipper teeth meet on the other side, and do that on the other way. So it looks nice and even. So I folded it over where it could be even. Then I take this and I kind of shove this in here, and you heard me correct. I shove it in and you can hear the zippers. Listen to the zippers get pulled down. So as I'm pushing, the zippers are getting pulled down. Then you would do the same thing. Olivia provides us with screws, but just in case you get lost with screws, again, I'm going to put this link here so you can get extra ones. I lose screws like so fast, and then I feel like I can't use the bag, I use the product, and that's not the case. There are screws that you can get, like I said, like on Amazon or maybe at your local hardware store that can salvage your project. Just because you lose a screw doesn't mean you can't use the hardware. It just means that you just got to get the screws somewhere else. Then we're going to take the same little eyeglass screwdriver, eyeglass repair kit screwdriver, and screw it in. And we have, voila, a beautiful zipper pull. You also could use these at the end of drawstrings and they look awesome. But look at how beautiful this is. Seriously, it has the rebel symbol. Like, chef's kiss, Olivia, chef's kiss. All right, so last but definitely, no, we have two more things. Let me show you how to install a turn lock, especially one that is so cool like this. So when you get a turn lock kit, you're going to get a washer, you're going to get the mel. The mel is the area that turns, and then you're going to get the female. So this is the flap, and this is going to be where the male is going to place, and this is the flap where the female comes in. So again, what you're going to do is, if you can't get these screws out, I like to kind of smack them just a little bit. You won't tell anybody, I promise. Then we're going to remove the screws. And again, when we remove the screws now, we have another male and a female. We need the female, and we need to take the area that is nice and flat, and we're going to use this as our template. So you already made your mark prior to, just similar like we did the flap where it was like 1 inch above. You're going to draw this. And then I like to draw where each screw is. So again, with this, I feel like people don't make the jeans big enough. So I'm going to use a bigger hole and punch out the 3 holes. And then from there, I am going to apparently clear out I'm going to cut out the Mickey Mouse head around from where I drew. And it looks weird, right? It's normal. So we're gonna put this on. And see how there's a little bit right here? I'm going to take my scissors and just trim this up little by little. It looks like a little triangle. Then I'm going to put my screws back, put my washer back on, grab my screws, and again, if the material's too thick, you have your plan B with your backup screws, but if you poke big enough holes, you should be fine. And I'm going to screw each one on just a little bit to make sure all 3 can fit perfectly fine. Now I'm going to tighten my screws. And after I tighten it, if I want to have the extra security, I could put Loctite in there, Fray check, whatever works for you. So we have our female installed. Yeah, it really is that simple. Just little patience and you got this. Then I'm going to move the male prongs center. And then wherever I'm supposed to be having this on my exterior piece, let's say this is 1.5 inches down, I'm going to take my prongs and I'm going to draw where the prongs are piercing, just a little line. I'm gonna grab my stiletto and poke holes or slits and put my washer on, fold, and now we have a fancy turn lock. So there's something new I think Olivia is going to be having on her website, and I'm really excited because when she showed it to me, I almost like screamed. Because there's a lot of cool bags right now that have awesome drawstrings, but then when we have the drawstrings, we have to do things like this. Oops. We have to make things like this where we make a slider. Olivia has these cool little bungees things, and look, they have rebel symbols right there, and I was like, shut the front door. So instead of having this, what we could do, feed through, here's another end, and we can tighten up. Let me cut this off because now I don't need this, because I have a cooler way of doing this, and I'm super excited about this because it's totally a game changer. But what do we expect else from Olivia? She always has cool things. Now you can cinch these up and have your own cool personal things. This is perfect for the Mayfield bag from Not a Thread Co. The Firefly tote from Noodlehead. This is so cool. This can, again, this is next level hardware. This is Loungefly. This is Heroes and Villains. This is something so cool. Just feeding your thread through here. Now you can cinch it up or release it. I think this is so unbelievably cool. So that is it. I just wanted to show you, just again, if you're trying to make the key fob, you can make the key fob any length you want. I just found 6 inches or 5.5 inches to work well. I use seatbelt webbing, or I use scraps of waterproof canvas. I don't use thicker ones because it doesn't work as well for me. But again, these can be used for the sides of bags where you're about to have your connectors. These can be in a place where any connectors are going to be. There is endless opportunities and endless creativities that you can make with these pieces. So I hope everything I showed you helped. I will be putting links for the flathead Phillips screw assortment, as well as the nylon washers. And I will put information in reference to Loctite, and of course links to Olivia's website. Her website is not open 24 hours, 7 days a week. She's a one-woman show, so you really do need to follow her on social media to see when she does have retail or pre-orders. That's probably the only way you're going to really know. know. She has like an array of different things. So again, I'm going to put links to the washers, the flat Phillip heads, the tiny screws that you need, and everything will be ready to go. I'm really excited that I was able to show you guys this. I hope you were able to learn something and grab something from this. And if you have any questions, please leave comments down below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Until the next time we speak, I hope you love this Nova's Notions, and I'll talk to you later. Good day.